Before talking about the connections that I have made this semester, I want to give a brief summary of each module. Module 1 talks about the 5 environment systems and what it means to be a culturally responsive teacher. Both of these topics go hand in hand in creating a warm, welcoming, and accepting environment for your students and your coworkers as well. Module 2 talks about different groupings such as stereotypes, minority groups, ethnic groups, and racial groups. These groups are all subjected to different prejudices, 2 of them being racism and colorism, and how this can often lead to discrimination, which is not acceptable in any way, shape, or form. 3 talks about income, standard of living, the 3 types of poverty, and theories that scholars have come up with. Module 4 talks about gender dysphoria, gender identity confusion, and gender itself. It also talks about problems associated with these topics, such as gender stereotyping, peer and role exclusion, and gendered beliefs. Title IV grants the Attorney General authority to address equal protection violations based on race, color, nationality, sex, and religion in public schools. Module 5 talks about sex, sexuality, sexual orientation, and how someone that experiences gender dysphoria, like talked about in Module 4, may become transgender. It talks about the different theories that scholars have come up with, such as functionalist, conflict, symbolic interactionism, and queer theory, along with problems that people with sexuality and sex, may encounter, such as homophobia, sexism, heterosexism, and double standards. Module 6 talks about religion and how it can be mono or polytheistic. It has different groups such as cults, sects, denominations, and established sects. And it also says that people that are within the same group commonly share the same religious beliefs and religious ceremonies that ultimately lead to a religious experience. It also tells us that some people, such as atheists, have no religion. It then continues to talk about religion and its role in schools and how it's allowed to be used in schools as long as it's presented in a content and objective way and not a promotion or persuasive way. But not least, Module 7 talks about special needs and disabled students. It talks about the IDEA Act that ensures that students with a disability get free public education designed to fit their needs. It talks about an individualized education plan. It talks about the least restrictive environment and related services. It talks about FAPE, which is free appropriate public education for all. And then it goes into talking about the court case Edward F. versus Douglas County School District. So, with that being said, I've been able to make a couple of connections this semester. The first connection that I've been able to make is that there is lots and lots of discrimination throughout the schools. The first example of that is through Module 2. All of these groups are subjected to discrimination because of their color or their race or what they believe, things of that such. Module 3 talks about discrimination as how a student that may not have as much, toys or the coolest clothes, how they may be discriminated against. Both modules 4 and 5 talk about how some may be discriminated against because of their sexual orientation or what gender they identify as. Module 7 also talks about special and disabled students being discriminated against. All of the modules, however, talk about awareness and how educators have to be aware. We have to be aware of discrimination. We have to be aware of the things going around the school. We have to be aware of what's happening in the news. We have to be aware of what's going on in our classrooms so that we can keep our students safe and happy and create a good environment for our classroom. Modules 4, 5, and 7 specifically talk about how students need support during the hard times when they're trying to figure out what gender they identify as or, what sexual orientation they believe in. We concluded that as an educator, hard work and determination is required.